Hi guys, it's Dana from Bright Red Marketing, ready to start day 3 of our 5-day Facebook challenge. Today I'm going to be talking to you about boosting conversions and how to increase traffic to your website. Now, the first thing I want to make very clear here is it's not all about the numbers. Now, I know a lot of you signed up to this challenge because you wanted to boost engagement and you've seen your numbers dropping, and I know how terrifying that is and how stressful it is when you log into your Facebook Insights and you see that little red down arrow that's saying this week's not performing as good as last week. But I just want you to be aware of the fact that this is a very fickle place to be doing your marketing, especially when you're doing it on the free side. As soon as you get into ads and campaigns that way, it is a little bit more data-based and a little bit more science-based, but you are spending money for that. But when you are doing these kind of free activities to boost your page, it's really important that you know that these numbers are not the be-all and end-all. If you have a down day, that is not representative of your entire business or your entire life or a sign that you should get out of business. Sometimes you're just going to get a bad number. So I just want to put that out before we get into this, that you will have bad days. You will have some posts that perform terribly. You will have weeks that just don't do great. And that is okay. That is how this works. And in the next 2 days, I'm going to be talking to you a little bit about your analytics and how you can actually use that to your advantage. But for today, we're just going to talk about some different strategies and things you can use to get more people to your Facebook page and to get more people to your website. So as I mentioned in the previous days, what you want to be doing with your Facebook marketing is to not have it as the be-all and end-all of your marketing plan. It really is a component, a piece of the puzzle, an element that you use in conjunction with other things. Now, the two things that I highly recommend you have are a website and a list. Neither of these things have to cost you a lot of money, but they are vital because you own them. So, as I've mentioned before, you don't own your Facebook page. It can get pulled out from underneath you at a moment's notice. If you do something wrong, if they change the rules and decide that your business type can no longer be on Facebook, they can do these things. So it's really important that while we focus on building up your engagement on your Facebook page and we build up your likes and we try and get more happening on there, it's also important that you are creating these other elements behind the scenes so that they can all work really nicely together rather than just focusing on one thing, which is your Facebook marketing. So highly recommend you spend some time building your list. So how can you do that? The best way I have found to build your list is to discover a customer's pain point. Now, the best way to do this is through some research, whether it's running a poll in a Facebook group, asking some friends, asking your clients, doing a full-on customer research survey. However you want to do it, you want to figure out what their biggest problems are. Now, I did a little bit of this before I created this challenge, and I found out that most of you were really struggling with your engagement, really struggling to have a Facebook page that's actually going to start generating you sales. So I did exactly what I'm telling you here. I figured out what my customers' pain points were. So you guys wanted more engagement, you wanted more sales. That was your pain point. I focused on that particular problem. I've solved it by creating this challenge for you. Now, obviously, it's not going to be solved. I haven't got a magic wand that I can wave and give you magical engagement. But if you apply the strategies in the 5 days, you will definitely see a massive improvement in what you're doing. Then you offer the solution for an email address, which is exactly what I've done here. I'm being totally upfront and honest with you guys. This is exactly the process that I've gone through myself to build my email list. And then the last thing you want to do when building your list is to promote it everywhere. Now, the wonderful thing about Facebook, and we're going to get into Facebook groups in a second, but there are these massive communities of people on Facebook that are there to help you. Now, there are some Facebook groups that are very regimented and they're very forced and they are there by certain businesses to promote their business, and that's wonderful. They share some incredible value. The Facebook group that you guys are in, the Bright Minds group, is a little bit similar to like that. It's very much, I'm going to be sharing information with you. We will discuss your problems and we'll go through that. There are other Facebook groups that are very community based, that are very much kind of like a free-for-all. Everyone can kind of share what they're doing, and they're also great places to learn. So finding those two kinds of groups, you can actually start to share your content in the right kind of groups. You can also email it out to your current database. Now, it sounds counterintuitive when you're building a list to email a list building activity to your current database. But what you should have in all of your kind of communications along the lines of building your list is to share these elements with other people. So at the end of my 5-day challenge, there will be a link that says, if you've loved the challenge, please share it with your friends. Now, that one little thing means that more people see that. So the people on your list hopefully love what you do, they love what you sell, they love engaging with you. So if you give them these really great free things and they get lots of value out of it, then, and you've solved a problem for them, when you give them that opportunity to share it, they're more likely to do that. You don't necessarily have to spend money to promote these things. Obviously, if you've solved a really great problem and given a really great solution to that, if you do run a campaign around that, it's generally going to perform quite well. So you can spend a little bit of money on doing that if you want to, but you don't necessarily have to. Now, it's really important here, going back to that first slide, it is not all about the numbers. If you get an extra 5 people on your list, treat them like the greatest 5 people that have ever joined your list, because you never know who they are. You never know who they could be. They could be your 5 best new clients. So I really want you to not stress so much about those actual numbers, because I know of plenty of people that have hundreds of thousands of people on their list and they're struggling to make money. And I know plenty of people that have under 100 people on their lists and they're making an absolute killing. So it's really not about those numbers, but what you're doing with it. So really important to remember that. Now, again, I just want to reiterate briefly how the algorithm works when you're trying to boost up your engagement on your page. Now, essentially what happens is you will publish a post to your community. Now, the same thing sort of works in groups and things a little bit. It's a little bit differently in groups. I'll explain that in a second. But what happens when you post a post on your Facebook page for your business is Facebook will share that out to a small circle of people. Now, if someone in that small circle engages and communicates and likes and comments, Facebook goes, this must be great. I will share it out to a few more people. And what ends up happening is if the next group of people, someone engages with it, Facebook goes, I might show a few more people. And you end up with this snowball effect, which at the end of the day is how things go viral. Now, what happens if you post something and that first small group of people, no one engages? That's when you end up with those posts that you're lucky if 10 people see them. So those first 10 people that Facebook showed, no one was interested. So actually think of those posts as lessons, because they do happen to everyone, and I mean everyone. If you go and look through some really massive big Facebook pages, you'll still see every now and then a post that gets almost no interaction, just because sometimes what we think might work doesn't work. So really important that you kind of keep track of those. It's also important that you keep track of the time that happened. You might find that was a particularly bad time to be posting things. And in the next couple of days, I'll show you how to look into those insights so you can start to learn those lessons. When you're in Facebook groups, it's more about the connections that you make and the friends that you make, and then the time that things are posted. So when you're, posting in a group that's got 20,000 people, it's really, really helpful. 200,000 people is really helpful to actually start to make some friends and some connections in that group, and even to invite your own personal network into the group. So there's a couple of groups that I'm in that I've invited 5 or 6 of my colleagues and other entrepreneurs that I know into that group. And what we do is we can actually start to help each other out in that group. So if one of my girlfriends posts in one of the groups and she needs some help, I'll comment, I'll say, working with her is really great. And now more people are likely to see that. So it's really important that first initial engagement is what's going to actually boost your post down the track, whether it's in a group or on your own Facebook page. This brings me to one thing that you can really do to boost your own business. Now, this isn't necessarily going to boost your individual Facebook page. It certainly can help, But this is more about just getting traffic to your website through Facebook. Now, the biggest lesson here is you need to follow the rules. So if you join a Facebook group, go read the rules. I see so many people joining Facebook groups and then they start posting links left, right, and center, and that comes across as very, very salesy, and you will get kicked out very quickly. So first things first, follow the rules and engage in those rules in the right way. I also recommend you keep hunting down new groups and experimenting. So I know a lot of people kind of sit in one Facebook group or two Facebook groups and they go, oh, I like these ones, that they're okay. The other side of that is people that are members of 30 groups and never do anything in them. I recommend you only kind of stick in one or two so you can actually make a real engagement in those two groups. When you start to be members of 30, 40, 50 groups, that's when you know you're in trouble, because honestly, when someone is accepting you into their group, they're going to go, oh, I don't know if I want that person in my group, because they're not going to be an engaged member. So you're better off to kind of segment that down and then to drop out of groups as you find you don't need them anymore. I highly recommend in your hunting that you find one that you love and you actually want to spend time in yourself. Now, I'm in two groups that I absolutely adore. One of them is a paid group, and one of them is just a free group. And if I let myself, could spend all day in there just talking to people and learning, because they are so valuable. So I really recommend that you try and find those groups. Now, when you're in these groups, and obviously we're here to make money, we're here to do business, we're here to make those connections and those relationships, please don't write essays. I've seen so many people doing this lately. I think there must be a couple of gurus going around being like, this worked for me, and maybe it did. Everyone's over it. Unless you are incredible at what you do and you are sharing completely new, groundbreaking information, don't write an essay. The best kind of content I've seen posted in groups are really short tips accompanied by a photo that explains the short tip, and really short, well-produced videos. There's a lady in one group that I'm in who does LinkedIn marketing, and she does some brilliant tutorials. They're always less than 5 minutes, and at the end of that, you literally want to go and do the thing that she said. So that kind of engagement is really, really good. But the best way I have seen to actually do really well in groups is to actually just be there. Be yourself, be genuine, don't be generic, and just help people. Be in there as a human being, not as a company, because this is where people are there as people. Now, I'm going to go into this in the next couple of days, but there is a section on your personal profile that's really important that you put your business link, because obviously you don't want to be friends with the 10,000 random people you've met in Facebook groups, but you still want to be able to connect with them externally. So really, really important to add that, but we'll go through that in the next couple of days. Now, what I found, and I've actually had probably 3 or 4 of my really big clients at the moment come from doing this, and I mean big clients. But what you really want to do is to just offer advice and celebrate your successes. So if you're having a good day, saying, I just helped this client make this much money, or we just discovered this really great trick and it does this, or people are asking questions, in my case, they're asking marketing questions. In your case, they could be mums trying to get advice on how to do something. It could be a car group where people are asking car questions. It could be business groups are where I hang out most, so I know the kind of questions that are asked in those groups. But there is literally a group for everything. So if you sit here listening to this going, I don't think there's any groups in my industry, please let me know and I will help you find one, because I can almost guarantee that there is a group that will suit everyone. Keep in mind, when you are hunting for groups, you are hunting for groups where your ideal client hangs out. Now, that might not necessarily be the same group that you as a person would hang out in. So I recommend you try and get a nice mix of both. So not only find a group of people that are like-minded and that are like you, but also try and find the group where your potential customers might be hiding out. So highly recommend that you do this. When you are starting to engage in groups, it is even more important that you specify specific times that you are engaging on social media platforms, because you can get lost down the rabbit hole very, very quickly. So I like to jump on once in the morning, once at lunchtime, and once before I finish up work, just so I can actually start to engage in the conversation. If someone's commented back or replied, it's a little bit faster. But yeah, don't get lost down the rabbit hole, because you will spend your entire life in there. And while it's an incredibly valuable marketing practice to be involved in, it can make you lost. And there are obviously other aspects of your business that you need to be involved in. The other thing that you can do is to actually start your own group. Now, this is a very big, scary, intimidating thing for a lot of people. But as someone who has just started their own Facebook group, so I'm not by any means an expert in this, I've just been in a lot of groups and I've seen lots of people do this, and it's worked very, very well for them. But to give you an idea, this group that you're all in, if you're not in the Facebook group yet, go check your emails, join the group, because the group is awesome. But what happened is I started this challenge. I promoted it out to people. I didn't actually spend any money to promote this out. I just used connections through groups and through my database and things to do this. So I live in proof that you don't need to spend a fortune to do this. And as you saw in your email, there was just a little link that said, and come join the group. And a big proportion of people have joined the group. And in 3 days, I have got now a group with 130 people in it. Now, that is something that I never thought that I could do. So I'm telling you now that if you want to start a group for your people, it is definitely possible. Now, the big no-no when you are starting a group is please do not add people who have not requested to be in your group. So the only way people should be getting into your group is if someone has recommended them, they've clicked on the link and requested to join the group. Please do not go adding people to your group. It is probably the biggest pet peeve of internet marketers that I've seen at the moment. Again, this is where it's really important that you can utilize your opt-in. So when you have your first initial email that goes out to someone, even I've seen people who, when you order a product from them, so they've got a delivery, there's always a little line that says, come join our Facebook group so you can learn how to use our products better. Really, really great way to add value to your customers and to build that relationship. So again, Facebook marketing is a social medium. Groups are really, really social if you get a good one. And they do take a little bit of work. They do take some time. As I said, not an expert here, but I have been in a lot of groups and I've seen the value that they cause for people. So it is definitely something that I recommend you at least consider in your marketing. Again, start small, offer a lot of value. Don't freak out if you've only got 5 people in your group, if you've only got 10 people in your group. It will grow as you learn how to use it. And actually probably better to, cultivate that group at that level. So when it does start to get bigger, you've kind of got your systems in place to maintain that value and to really start to engage with these people. And you can then always, to boost that engagement back from your Facebook page, to share the links from your Facebook page into your group where you've got more active members. Because the best advantage about a Facebook group is people will get more notifications of what's happening in the group rather than in the Facebook page. So the Facebook page is very algorithm based. It's very much, let's show 3% of people who like your page this post. Did it get engagement? Yes, no. Snowball effect or complete cutoff. Whereas in your group, more people are more likely to see it because Facebook views it as a more social element. Now, I want to give you guys a little bonus tip. On your Facebook page, when you have a post and lots of people have liked it, if you click on the people that have liked it, this little screen will pop up. Now, what you can see here is I've got a bunch of people who have already liked my page, and then you can actually invite people to like your page who have somehow seen your content, again through that snowball from the algorithm, but don't necessarily already like the Facebook page. So if you are trying to boost up your likes, especially if your page is smaller, this works brilliantly too if you've got a really massive following, because there'll be lots more people who haven't seen your page. And if you ever have something go viral, definitely jump on this, because you can add, hundreds of people to your page quite quickly who are obviously interested in your content. You just click on that little invite button and it sends them an actual physical notification. It pops up in their bottom left-hand side of the screen that says Bright Red Marketing thinks you might like to like their page. And they can either click yes, they want to accept, or they can leave it because they missed it, or they can just ignore it. But a really great way to start to kind of boost up the likes on your page. Now, probably the best thing you can do to avoid that drop in engagement is to actually avoid being salesy. Now, it's a big fear of a lot of people when they try and sell their stuff on Facebook that they're going to come across as salesy. I think when we hear the term salesy, everyone thinks of the really dodgy used car salesman kind of analogy. I actually know some great used car salesmen, but that's still the analogy that I think and the thought process that people go through when they're doing this. They're like, well, I don't want to be like that. Now, the best thing you can do to stop being salesy is to continue to add value. Now, the more value you add, the more likely people are to engage in what you're doing, which obviously boosts your engagement and your reach and your conversions and all of that. I've got a couple of blog posts that I've written on doing this, so I'll include that below this video so you can check that out as well. Now, if you sell a physical product, I highly recommend that you set up an actual shop in Facebook. Now, if you have a really broad range of products, obviously I don't expect you to put everything on your Facebook store, but it can be a really great way to remind people that you are actually a business and they can actually buy things from you. Because I find that people on social media platforms really need to be told what to do. I don't know whether it's just something about the platform or how it works, but it's kind of consistent across every platform, which is why you see somebody, click here and sign up now and do this, this, and this, and then you'll receive, X result. It is always a great medium where you really do have to spell things out for people. So if you do have a store, really highly recommend that you set up your shop in Facebook. Now, to give you an idea, the Awkward Yeti has theirs online. You can buy their mugs, you can buy all sorts of things from them. They do still have their physical store on their website, but they do have both working. Now, depending on what platform you have that you are selling through, there are quite a few plugins that link up directly into the Facebook shop as such. So a really simple Google search of the commerce platform that you use and Facebook should show you how to set that up really easily. And if you don't have that set up, you can just kind of do it manually through their shop. But highly recommend that. It can be a really great way to kind of boost sales. It's obviously not going to be your biggest source of income, but any way you can start to draw a little bit more traffic, a little bit more sales through is always going to be a really great thing. This works especially well for physical products rather than services and things, just because there's a little bit more of a sales process that happens when you do sell a service. Now, Facebook Live. I know there are so many people that are going to cringe when I say to use Facebook Live. Don't worry, I cringe, but I cannot deny how unbelievably powerful it is. Now, a few months ago, I was really struggling with engagement on my page. I was lucky if I got even a like on posts. And what I did was start to use Facebook Live. Now, to be totally upfront, totally clear with you guys, I think I've done about 4 or 5 Facebook Lives in the last couple of months, but the results of that have been astounding. It's one of my big goals to actually do that more regularly. One, because I think it's an incredible way to engage with you guys, but also because the results are just undeniable. So what happens when you do a Facebook Live is everyone gets a notification. So I've got 1,500 likes on my Facebook page at the moment, and what will happen is those 1,500 people will get a physical notification that Dana from Brightwood Marketing is live. Here is the title of what's happening. Now, if that happened with every post that you did on Facebook, your engagement would be awesome, which is why your group engagement is generally so high, because they do sometimes get a physical notification. The scary thing about Facebook Live is that it's live. And at the moment, there is really no other way to do Facebook Live to make it any more perfect, to do anything. So if you're going to give it a go, now is a great time to do it, because even, the massive mega gurus in your industry, even the celebrities that are using it, there is no other way to do this than on your phone and totally live. You can still do it in a full-on studio with nice lights, but it still has to be filmed on your phone. There are some gadgets and stuff that are starting to come out now. So some people are, getting that little bit of advantage. But the great thing about Facebook Live is it's so organic. You can literally, and I've seen people do it, wake up in the morning, be making your cup of coffee in the kitchen in your pajamas, and do a Facebook Live. Now, I don't necessarily recommend that you do that unless it's on brand. So for me, I've got to maintain a little bit of a sense of professionalism because you guys are trusting me with your businesses, and I've got to kind of keep that expert impression, I suppose, a little bit more. I will still do the occasional Facebook Live where it's a little bit more casual because at the end of the day, I'm a human being. I'm not perfect business person every moment of the day. I still like to be me and be a little bit more casual sometimes. But depending on your industry, you can go a lot more casual. I mean, I've seen Facebook Lives with people with their washing in the background. Again, don't recommend it, but it's excusable in the Facebook Live world because it is so raw and organic. Now, highly recommend these three things. You need good internet, good lighting, and a nice background. Now, lighting can come from a front-facing window in the afternoon or in the morning. You do not want direct light on you. You want kind of like soft light. You need a good internet connection. There's nothing worse than internet dropping out and crackly voices. And you need just a nice background. So no washing baskets, nice set of bookshelves, plain wall, just the back of your house or your office is fine. I've seen people do Facebook Live where their pets go nuts halfway through. The best thing about Facebook Live is it becomes relatable. It really does give people that sense of who you are and really gives them a better sense of the brand behind why they're trying to be making purchases. Little trick that I like to do is to actually write my notes on a post-it and just stick it up where I'm going to store my camera. I've got a blog post on how to do Facebook Live, how to use it, some tools and stuff to really make it easy. You literally just need your phone to do Facebook Live and your brain. So it's a really great, easy access marketing tool. If you are terrified of video, which, not gonna lie, I am a little bit as well, just start with 5 minutes at a time. So, put down a couple of bullet points of things you want to discuss, jump on, record your video, and done. It's going to be out there for the world to see. If you absolutely hate it, you can delete it. Recommend that you don't delete it, but if you hate it that much, you can. But the best thing you can do is just to share some really valuable information, have a really captivating title for your video. So you really try and capture people's attention because it will come up as that notification. And just share some value, tell your story. When we spoke yesterday and I gave you all of those examples of kind of content, they're the kind of things that you can share on a Facebook Live. People want to get to know the people behind the business. Again, Facebook, social media, the more you can kind of add that social element, the more people will want to do business with you and the more they will want to kind of do that. Now, the other great thing about Facebook Live, because it gets notifications sent out, your views on that video will be really, really high. Even if you've got a small following, I find that a really big percentage of your likers will actually see the video. If you ask questions, if you encourage people to ask questions, you'll end up with quite a few comments. The more comments you get, the more people see it. Now, really great thing about doing Facebook Live is because you are now publishing a piece of content that does so well, Facebook automatically promotes the next piece of content to a little bit of a broader audience. So you know how we talk about the algorithm and it will show a post to a certain group of people. If someone engages, it shows it sort of the next group of people. When you do Facebook Live, you've got a post that does really, really well. So what happens is the next post, instead of maybe 3% of your audience seeing it, because the last post you did was so successful, the next post might have 10% of people seeing it, which means you've got more chance of getting those initial engagements, which means there's more chance for that snowball to take effect. So highly recommend you start using Facebook Live in your business just because it really can help to boost your engagements better than anything I've ever seen. Now, if you've got any questions, please post them in the group or send me an email if you're not in the group. I'm really excited about what we've got to come for the next 2 days. There's some really brilliant advanced strategies and some analytics and stuff to come. Hope you've enjoyed. Any questions, send them through and I'll talk to you tomorrow.